Okay, so we are moving now into chapter 7, Gyan Vigyan Yoga. Yoga through the realization of divine knowledge, knowledge and special knowledge. So Gyan is translated as knowledge. Vigyan, like Sadhguru bhi bolte hain, विशेष ज्ञान विशेष ज्ञान से बनता है विज्ञान. So it's special knowledge. And if you remember, Gyan and Vigyan Yoga is something that came up in chapter 6, and we, went into it in detail as to what is Gyan, what is Vigyan, how different commentators have given opposing and contradictory definitions of Gyan and Vigyan. So, very quickly, we will run through that. All right. So in chapter 6, in the eighth verse, it came Jnana Vigyan, the yogi who is satisfied by knowledge and discrimination, have conquered their senses, remain undisturbed in all circumstances. They see everything as same. So Adi Shankaracharya, Advaita, Swami Mukunda. So this Vedanta stream. See, Swami Mukundananda Bhakti pe emphasis dete, but they are also following the Vedanta stream. Okay. So they are saying that ज्ञान is knowledge which is gained through scriptures. वो लोग बोलते हैं ये theoretical knowledge है. स्वामी मुकुंदानंदा भी बोलते हैं कि कृष्ण उन्हें theoretical knowledge देते हैं पर wisdom भी देते हैं. He also gives him insights. फिर but within that tradition there is Ramakrishna who says to see reality or realize this is the ultimate gyan. So he himself is giving a different definition of gyan. Okay. And Sri Ravi Shankar says it's spiritual knowledge. Osho, we follow for our purposes. All need a structure and a lens to look at things. So Osho bolte hai, gyan means to know oneself. This is true gyan. Theory nahi hai ye. अपना स्वयं का ज्ञान सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन इज एक्चुअली ज्ञान व्हाट इज विज्ञान विज्ञान मतलब when gyan is converted to experience. So this is absolutely opposite to what Osho says. Vigyan in Adi Shankaracharya Vedanta, ज्ञान is converted to experience. हम बोलेंगे विज्ञान वो है जो बाहर को देखता है साइंस ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी दैट विच स्टडीज द ऑब्जेक्टिव रियलिटी इज विज्ञान दैट इज हाउ we will follow it. That is what even Osho says. And this is how we will, just for the structure of study, this is how we will look at it. So Ramakrishna says Vigyan means to see that this is the reality that pervades the entire universe. Um, Sri Ravi Shankar says qualified scientific knowledge about the universe. So even Sri Sri is more aligned to like how Osho is talking, like spiritual knowledge in terms of theory, gyan and vigyan as that which is realized. So just wanted to, ring that again to your attention to remind you of this is the structure that we are following for our purposes and for the study. So before I begin, just a little bit of perspective. We are moving into bhakti and very interesting. I like how Swami Sarvapriyananda says that, see, in Vedanta, it's not a definite classification, but they do these broad classification of Gita, which is made up of 18 chapters into three sets of six. So we completed part one. And he says it's interesting how in Vedanta everything is like Shatakam based. We have Nirvana Shatakam. We also have something as Devi Shatakam. So Shatakam is like six shlokas. So, you must have heard that Isha mein Mano Buddhi Ahamkar. So that's Nirvana Shatakam. So, like that, this is also very broadly divided. It's not to say karma definitely is the undercurrent of in all the three sets, in all these 18 chapters, but the first six are primarily with, to deal with self inquiry. And there we lean on more on Swami Sarvapriyananda's commentary because it is relevant, it is looking at that. So, it's good to look at that perspective. For me, I am biased towards Osho and I'm presenting Osho's perspective on Gita. I have found it, you know, all that. So, uh, we do lean on that. Now, the second part is bhakti oriented, where we will lean on Swami Mukundananda more, which we have covered also in the part one. But I will also bring in some perspectives from Swami Prabhupada because, see, Krishna consciousness has been so popularized by him. I don't have it here. I will share it in the notes. Otherwise, it disturbs the flow. If I keep scattered commentaries from here, there, like that. So, we will also look at Swami Prabhupada's and how they look at bhakti and how they interpret Krishna's uh, talk to Arjun. So I had shared how Swami Sarvapriyananda has explained almost like deficiency in bhakti. See, he's a hardcore Advaitin. So this is just for interest and how they look at it. So it's like somebody asked Swami Sarvapriyananda that I don't believe in God. I've got nothing to do with devotion. So are you telling me that I will not find enlightenment? So he says, no, it is not necessary to believe in God. It is not necessary for devotion, and you can still come into self realization purely through the path of self inquiry. There are people like that who just like to study and just through intellect, and it's possible. Then he goes on a little bit to speak about the path of self inquiry and the path of devotion and how they differ. So, in terms of disadvantage, because he compares it to the path of self inquiry, he says that, see, this path of devotion, it just ends with mystical experience. He gives this example of Mother Teresa, who was so connected to God, who prayed, but she experienced a lot of darkness. Not that it shook her faith or whatever. And he uses the word faith. We have spoken a lot about faith and Shraddha and the difference between the two. I'm sure everybody's clear about it. If not, please raise your hand. So, Swami Sarvapriyananda's point is that faith can be attacked. Trying to establish God through reason is going to create anxiety, which is true, isn't it? Talk to our children, believe in God. First thing they will, oh, my daughter sometimes, I don't believe in your values. I do not agree to this. So they have their own, they're coming with a very logical mind. And fair enough, I will leave it as part of tradition and culture. Whatever they do, they do. But there is uh, none of this devotional trust faith kind of thing, and trust cannot happen till you have an experience what this does. So this is Swami Sarvapriyananda's comment on large part of the population. Tomorrow, I have this relationship with God. I call it devotion, but tomorrow, what I ask God, I prayed to him so much, now I'm asking him something and it is not given to me, I will fire God from his position. So, first of all, what kind of God this is? Two, it breaks your faith. So, he says faith can be attacked, and you can never prove the existence of God. I exist. See, in the path of self inquiry, it is like I and who am I? The fact that I exist, this cannot be questioned, correct? Because I know that I exist. Whether God exists or not, I cannot prove it. Well, if he exists, then it's wonderful, because how glorious is God's existence, provided he exists. But how will you prove it? So, this is their perspective. Hardcore on why self inquiry. See, every interpreter is trying to always say how their path is the best. They all do this. Bhakti, you will see how Swami Mukundananda has arguments against Advaitins and theory based stuff, and he will say how devotion is better. So it's just for interest and understanding how it is viewed, okay? Um, but he says, my existence, I'm sure of. If I am happy, that happiness reveals itself. God, happiness, who has seen all this? How can you prove it? So he says those are the things on which attack can happen. But there is one very nice thing that Sri Ravi Shankar says. He says, see, you speak of proof. There are some, whatever you can prove, you can also disprove, isn't it? Proofs work like this. Whatever you can prove, you can find an alternate theory and you can disprove it. You can do another sample study. You can this keeps happening. So he says God is not something to be proven or disproven. That is how he approaches and presents to people who follow him. Don't get into proof when we are coming into God. It begins from a place of shraddha, and we will speak on what shraddha belief is. Very wonderfully Osho has explained that. So Advaita says self-inquiry path can suffice. Your existence and God's existence, it says, is the same. You don't have to believe. See, all bhakti is dualistic model. Dualistic model says I am there and there is the deity to whom I offer myself. Advaita says there are no two. There is just you, Tattvamasi, you are that. Okay, so you just do self-inquiry and you will come into self-realization. However, having said all this and saying that self inquiry is enough, they will also say upasana is very important. They will also say worship is important, faith in God. Look at Ramakrishna, Devi Bhakt hai. Vivek Swami Vivekananda, Devi ki worship karte hain. So he says that Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, they don't reject anything, and all this is accepted in classical Advaita. And we they still follow all this, okay? They still follow worship. But if there are people who want to just follow the path of self inquiry in Advaita, Swami Sarvapriyananda says that is totally open and that is available if you don't want to follow this. My own observation, which I will share with you, is that see, when Advaita begins, how do they begin? They say Upanishads are our source of knowledge, correct? And they say that your self inquiry is based on the theory that Upanishads is giving to you. Obviously, what is being said there is not in your experience, correct? So essentially, you're also beginning with a faith in Upanishads, isn't it? Just like we begin with faith in God, aren't you beginning? This is my observation, so please feel free to do your own, uh, observations on it. So you're also beginning with faith in Upanishads and trying to understand that theory, explore it, but you are allowed doubt. You are allowed doubt in this path of exploration. In bhakti, देर इज डाउट के लिए जगह है ही नहीं, नहीं तो वो भक्ति भक्ति है ही नहीं. इट्स लाइक दिस, जो श्रद्धा टूट गई वो श्रद्धा है ही नहीं. इट वॉज नेवर श्रद्धा एंड निष्ठा टू बिगिन विथ. This is a fundamental difference between the two. Okay. um Then he says, Sagun Brahman Vishnu worship is supported by Advaita. Saguna Brahman means form based, is supported. Yes, we all know that. And in Yoga Sutra, see, Swami Sarvapriyananda makes this comment. See, in Yoga Sutra, there is no such thing of deity and Saguna Brahman, but that's not true. One thing that James used to say to us in Yoga Sutra study is study Yoga Sutra with somebody who practices that. So I'm a little hesitant to take Yoga Sutra commentary from Swami Sarvapriyananda because he does not do Yoga Sutra practice. And from what I have learned from Osho, from James, from my own teachers, when Maharishi Patanjali says Tatra Niratishayam Sarvagna Bijam, yes, you can use God as a device. If abhyas and vairagya does not work for you, use God as a device, explode the seed of God. But this is not an app. This can be God. If you want to use him as a form, you're totally open. It's an open thing there. If so, I I don't feel that saying that Saguna Brahman is not accepted um, is accurate because that possibility has been offered by Maharishi Patanjali. If you want to use that, you use it. If it works for you, use it. If it helps you to explode the seed within you, go ahead and use it. That's what he says. Uh, so, moving on. All right. Is there anything else that I should have shared here? All right. Another thing I want to mention is Sri Sri Ravi Shankar says that, see, in our culture, science and spirituality were never seen as two separate things in Indian culture. They were always seen as complementary. Like intellect goes after objective knowledge, but the mind and manas will want this subjective experience. So they were seen as dimensions that move together. ऐसा hard dichotomy नहीं था. So he's given a little bit of background to make sure that our own minds don't get very divided on it. Okay. So beginning, hi Puja. Happy Mahashivratri. Happy Mahashivratri,
Happy
Nidhi.
Master.
Okay. So beginning on the first one now. The Supreme Lord said,
Happy Mahashivratri.
Happy Mahashivratri. Uh, All right. Now the Supreme Lord said, now listen, O Arjun, how with the mind attached exclusively to me and surrendering to me through the practice of Bhakti Yoga, you can know me completely free from doubt. He's telling you can know God. See, one of the very exciting things about Bhagavad Gita and what fired me into really learning is I was like, I want to know what God Himself is saying. I want to know. So it began with first, I was studying yoga with yoga teachers, and I came to a point saying, I'm done with teachers. I want to know what does a yogi have to say? I'm done with all these teachers and classes. What does a yogi have to say himself? And Sadhguru happened. And then, with this, it's like, what does God himself have to say? I want to know that. So he says, Krishna is saying, you can know me. And that's so beautiful. That is, don't you want to know him? We know all these people, but don't we want to know God himself? So Swami Nanda reminds us that, see, in chapter 6, Krishna said, Sadatma Nam Yogi, the yogi whose mind is always absorbed in me, he is the highest kind of yogi. He's the best yogi. So now he's telling, how can you become that best kind of yogi? How can you be a Sadatma Nam Yogi? So how can we know him? How can we meditate upon him? All right. So, all right, all those meanings are there. Asakta man, with the mind attached, absorbed totally on me. With a single pointed one mind devotion, completely absorbed in God. Now, some things which we have to understand here, कि ananyasham, you see that word here, sorry, ये तो असंशयम है, but maya sakta mana, which means the mind which is totally absorbed, ashraya, totally in God. It's like saying ananya bhav. We have come across this word. Osho explains like that. जो अनन्य भाव से मुझे भजता है, जो मेरा भजन करे अनन्य भाव से. So what is ananya? Anya means the other. When we love somebody, I love you, so there is you and you are the other. Ananya means no other. So that only you remain. That is called Ananya Bhav. Okay. Now, to explain that, Osho gives a very nice example. So we must understand what is Bhakt. Bhakt का मतलब ही यही है जो अनन्य भाव में established हो. The person, if you have anya, if you think God is the other, then you're not in Ananya Bhav. It's like there is just, okay, there is no division. Um, see, I love somebody, that person is far away from me, so there is this pain, एक विरह होती है, and you want that person to come close to you. Now this person has come close to you, he's with you. However close he is, there is still a boundary, no, that this is the other person. Correct? He has his own interests, he has his own inclination. That the other exists. Even when two people love each other, the other exists. Do we agree on that? The idea of other in our mind exists. Okay, so this is one thing. Who is a bhakt? Bhakt means जिसके मन में division नहीं है. As long as there is division in your mind, it is called vibhakt. The word bhakt comes from that. जो there is no division in your mind, only then you are a bhakt. So he gives the story of this woman who is a great devotee of Buddha, and she carries this small gold statue of Buddha everywhere. In her presence, if someone mentions devotion to Krishna or Ram, it creates a lot of anxiety in her. So that means her bhakti hasn't really matured, and it's creating a jealousy, or it is creating anxiety. It's putting her own shraddha on shaky ground. So once when she's traveling, she reaches a Chinese temple, and in that Chinese temple there are these huge idols of Buddha. Now she has to worship her own Buddha. I am attached to my own Buddha. So she takes out that idol, and she has to offer incense. So now there is all sorts of confusion that is going in her mind. How do I offer this incense to my Buddha? If I offer this incense, the fragrance of this incense will go to the big Buddha. My Buddha will not get the whole thing. So what she does is she takes a little bamboo, she places the incense, puts the bamboo, and directs it towards her own Buddha. What happens is that Buddha's face becomes black. So Osho says, जो आजकल के भक्त हैं वो अपने deity का बस मुंह काला करने में लगे हुए हैं. ऐसा ही होता है. Because this is not bhakti, this is vibhakti. So the monk in that Buddhist temple comes and starts laughing at her and saying that this is ego. You are still in the dimension of ego. You are divided. So this is how he explains bhakti means it's a state of mind. It is a state of being, not this, not that. Okay. And Osho बोलते हैं, बहुत अच्छा समझाते हैं. He says the word Advaita here is very telling. What does Advaita mean? हम बोलते हैं Advaita means one, isn't it? We keep saying Advaita means only one, isn't it? There are no two. But Osho बोलते हैं अद्वैत का मतलब only one नहीं है. अद्वैत का मतलब है not two. They say if they wanted to say only one, they wouldn't have said Advaita. They would have said ekatva. एकत्व ही बोलते हैं ना. Um, wait. Ekatva. I think the word is, yeah. Then they would have used that other word. But instead, they use the word Advaita, which means not two. So he says this is the difference between love and prayer. When two entities exist, I love you, then there is some division. It is a subtle form. It's like a purified ego, but the ego still exists. And um, in prayer, the you and the I merge. There is only prayer. It's not like I love you. There is sirf prem bachta hai and the entities disappear. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So Ananya, that is the meaning of Ananya. Other will not be. दूसरा बचता ही नहीं है. Then only it is Ananya. Then only it is Advaita. Otherwise, it would have been Ekatva. Okay. So another thing that Osho comments on. So this bhav of Ananya, this Advaita experience, this dissolution of the other can only happen when there is no more ego in your mind. When you have dissolved ego. What does it mean? That means even the subtle no has gone away from you. See, in Yoga Sutra, we spoke of the subtle no. That when you say, yes, I want this, not very nice that you are saying, yes, I want this, but there is a subtle no and a rejection of the other, isn't it? When you say yes to something, you're not saying no, but there is a subtle no. Obviously, only then you can choose. The choice still exists. Till you become choiceless, ego does not dissolve. Does that make sense? We've spoken so much on it. I don't want to get into it. Right, Shravanti? That is making sense? Correct. Right? So, जब the no has completely dissolved, only then you come into ekatva, you come into advaita, not two. Then prem bachta hai, premi chale jate hain. You know, neither is God there, neither you are there. It is only love. Only that flows. It's like you're immersed in it. Ab kuch bachta hi nahi hai. There is no end. There is not this shore and that shore. Only the lake in between exists. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain the 2 points. It's me and that other shore of God. And I'm trying to cross that. Remember, even in chapter 6, we said, Ki wo jahan hai, where the boat is, that itself is your destination. परमात्मा का एक्सपीरियंस वहीं हो जाता है कहीं जाने की जरूरत क्योंकि वही बचते हैं ना ये शोर ना वो शोर इट्स लाइक दैट now here Osho also mentioned see the shloka begins with Shri Bhagwan Uvacha and Krishna is saying someone whose mind is attached to me your mind focused on me so again just for interest there are people who will say oh Krishna is so egotistical he's saying me so again Osho has explained that this me is the large I it is the original mind that we studied in Yoga Sutra where his I is the ego that has expanded so much that rejects nothing one way of there are two ways of managing ego one you dissolve it completely so it disappears two you expand it so much that it includes everybody nobody is excluded then Krishna's ego is like it's like expanded there it's not and it is not him the person who is saying I Shri Bhagwan Uvacha कृष्ण सिर्फ माध्यम है भगवान के लिए God himself speaks through Krishna whatever is happening ये जो वाणी है गीता की ये कृष्ण की वाणी नहीं है it's coming from a higher dimension through Krishna so therefore it that is why in Gita it is said Bhagwan Uvacha it doesn't say Krishna says it could have said that no Gita could have said Krishna says this but it doesn't say it says Bhagwan Uvacha Bhagwan said this so it is that Vani which is coming okay so All right. Now, going a little bit further into this idea of devotion. So, एक तो है वो faith, the faith which is blind faith. Now, we spoke a lot on faith in Yoga Sutras. एक तो होती है blind faith, where you are believing into something simply because it is your culture, and you don't want to be questioned on it, because what if my faith shakes? If you ask me questions and I cannot answer or I cannot prove, then my faith will begin to shake. So those people, it's like we spoke of rational, supra rational, and irrational. It's almost like falling into that irrational dimension. There is no experience of God, but simply out of culture you believe, and it's very shaky grounds based. You're not even established in it, and there's a lot of doubt within the faith. Within, you don't really have an experience of God, but nahi 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 hum worship karenge, nahi nahi. It's a very transactional relationship with God. Then there is the kind of faith which is unshakable, which is like uh, uh, उस फेथ में कोई, उस श्रद्धा में कोई डाउट होता ही नहीं है. Now we will understand these two kinds. There are two kinds of devotion that are possible, Osho says. एक devotion होता है जो होता है संशय based. It is doubt based devotion. Then there is a devotion which is nissanshay nishtha, which is the second kind of devotion. So he says science approaches everything with doubt. So, like even Upanishad, if you're approaching Upanishad, they say, yes, you take it that these things exist, but now you explore and find out. You're allowed to doubt. Even a scientist will take a hypothesis and he will believe the hypothesis that, yes, this is possible, and that's why he's working towards it. But at some point, he's also open to the possibility that this doesn't work, correct? So he will examine the doubt. He will keep creating doubts and examine the doubts to make sure that all doubts are removed. But the possibility that a doubt gets established and the hypothesis is nullified exists in a scientific inquiry. Correct? Correct? So that's a Sanshay based examination. That is a Sanshay based devotion. It is still, there is a belief that exists. There is a nishtha. Nishtha literally means belief. This belief exists, but doubt is allowed. In Shraddha, the nishtha exists and there is no doubt that exists. Now, um, uh, one very interesting thing I want, okay, I will mention this later. Now, what is Nissanshay Nishtha? See, if I leave my home today, I know that when I come back, my house will still exist, isn't it? It will not disappear. This is a निस्संशय निष्ठा. मतलब मेरे मान में कोई डाउट ही नहीं है, अरे मैं वापस आऊंगा तो मेरा घर यहीं रहेगा. He explains with another example. He says, I mean, every day morning you get up, you see the sunrise, right? Now, in your mind, this Shraddha exists, this belief exists that the sun rises every day morning, correct? Tomorrow I get up and the sun does not rise. The human being who has Nissanshay Nishtha will say, something must be wrong in my eyes that I have not seen the sun rising today. He will not go and say, the sun does not rise. Do you see the difference? He will not go and say, ki, Are, this hypothesis is false. It does not exist. Very, very important difference here. The one who follows संशय based निष्ठा, जब विज्ञान की खोज होती है, outside world की खोज होती है, you will start doubting others. You put conclusions on others. But the person who follows nissanshay nishtha will only doubt himself. He will never doubt the other. And that other here is God Himself. Does that make sense? What is Arjun's position on this nishtha? Is his nishtha sanshay based nishtha or nissanshay nishtha? Arjun is in a nissanshay nishtha towards Krishna. He never questions Krishna. Questions Krishna in the sense of his shraddha towards Krishna is unquestionable. When he was given the choice that, Arjun, do you want Krishna or do you want his armies? He was very clear. I want Krishna. His Shraddha is total and complete. Do you see that? His Nishtha towards Krishna, his trust in Krishna is total. It cannot be questioned, it will not break. Isn't it? And it also comes from his own experience with Krishna. देखा है उसने कुछ कृष्णा की eyes में देखा है, the way Krishna speaks, the way he is. He knows that this, he can trust it, and trust always comes from one's experience. You have some encounter with it. You follow a guru, you have a trust in him that comes from your own experience of an encounter with him. Okay, so Vigyan is about transforming external objects. Dharma, the path of Dharma, is about transforming yourself. That is why in Dharma, जब निष्ठा होती है, you will say, I must be at fault. The other is never at fault. This is called a devotee's mind. Now, um, we must also, when we are speaking of Arjun and what kind of nishtha he has, we have heard Arjun say in the previous chapter that Krishna, the mind is like wind. It will never become stable. So, how do I trust it? But he never says, Krishna, how do I believe you? Does he ever say that? He does not question Krishna. He can question his own mind, but he will not question Krishna. This is his nishtha. I am asking all of us before we move further with Krishna, listening to him, do we have this kind of nissanshay nishtha towards Krishna? It's very important. So, in this chapter, in this verse, Krishna also says that listen to me, touch Shrinu, and we'll come into that. That Arjun, you listen to me. He's told him, now listen. He is willing to share something with Arjun, but it requires a qualification. Do we have a qualification to listen to Krishna? And we'll talk about what is that qualification. Um, So Swami Mukundananda's comment on this particular shloka, he says, without devotion, there will be no experience. It will only be theory. And that is his dig towards Advaita and self-inquiry based path ki ये लोग सिर्फ theory करते रहेंगे, devotion रही रहेगा तो experience नहीं होगा. This is how, Advaita and Dvaita keep fighting. I don't want to get into it. That is why we will just stay with Osho. He synthesizes both. He explains both. So now touch Shrinu. Um Now the arguments of skeptics and disbelievers. Now what Arjun said, Krishna is telling Arjun, ki Arjun, you listen to me, touch Shrinu. Why does he say that? Because people create ridiculous arguments. Now, Osho gives this example of this student, so to say, who comes to a fakir. And when the fakir is talking to him about devotion and he's telling him, you listen to these satsangs and a transformation can happen because dharma is a journey into yourself. So the student listens and then he says, okay, I hear you, but what about people who are blind, who cannot see? What about people who are deaf? If all I have to do is listen to satsang, then what will happen to the people who are deaf? What will happen to people who are dumb, who cannot talk? What will happen to people who do not have a limb and they cannot engage in certain practices? Then what will happen to their enlightenment? This is how the student is talking, arguing. The skeptic's argument कि उनका क्या होगा, दूसरे का क्या होगा. So the fakir, he takes one stick and he beats him. And this man starts running. And he asks him, why he gets up, he moves, the student. So he says, oh, you see a stick, you can hear me, you can move your limbs. He says, if you can do all this, you be concerned with yourself. What is your concern with the other? What is your concern with the deaf, dumb, blind? You are not deaf, dumb, blind, and without limbs, no? You can do it. So, what is your thing with the others? So, people who are on this path of general inquiry will start looking at all these others. It's not about others. The path of dharma is about you. It's almost like an obsession with you. How does this concern me? How can this make a difference to me? How can I transform? It's not about the others. This is very important. I've rarely had it, but sometimes, in the class, people will talk about others. It's none of your business. It doesn't matter. Do you want to change? Do you want to become enlightened? Then this is a thing. Can you work with this? Yes, then that is what is important. So, this condition is very important, that you be concerned with yourself. Qualification to listen to Krishna. Osho says Gita will be absorbed only if you are doubtless, if you are in Nisanshay Nishtha. Can you drop doubt by decision? You can say, "Oh, I have decided I will not have doubt." No, it doesn't work like that. It is a quality of the heart. It is not the quality of the intellect. The intellect is such that it will doubt. That is the nature of mind. That is the nature of buddhi. It is meant to, because it is supposed to analyze. So, in your heart, in your feelings, you must grow. It cannot be by decision. It's not possible. Osho bolte hai, if you want to come into this state of Nisanshaya Nishtha, go ahead. Doubt so much that you get bored and tired of it and find it useless. Once you start finding it useless, he says Nisanshaya Nishtha will automatically take roots and it will birth in you. Then you can transcend Sanshaya and doubt and can land in Nisanshaya Nishtha. सुन ओशो बोलते हैं सुनने के ऊपर भी शर्त है. कृष्ण को सुनने के लिए एक शर्त है. This is a condition. Just having ears is not a qualification to listen to Krishna. So please look into yourself and see if you come from a place of nissanshaya nishtha towards Krishna. Tomorrow, if things do not go your way, and you said, God, make it this way, will you reject God and will you fire Krishna and will you say that you don't exist? So this is an important thing. It's a point that Osho drives home with us. Second verse, I shall now reveal unto you fully this knowledge and wisdom, knowing which nothing else remains to be known in this world. Now, Krishna is telling him that I will give you this knowledge and wisdom, but he's not talking about theory. He's not saying, I'll give you this theory. He is telling you that Arjun, तेरी मुझ पर निस्संशय निष्ठा है, because you trust me, because you have shraddha. This rahasya or this secret I will share with you. So the universe, the world is a mystery and it can only be revealed. So he will speak like a mystic. And you may have noticed this in your own relationships. Only with people who you have a certain level of intimacy in your emotional relationships with people will you share certain things, isn't it? You will not share your deepest secrets, your deepest sorrows, your deepest joys with people whom you don't feel emotionally very close and intimate to. So, and that is because those people trust you and you trust them. So, this a milieu of trust, the soil of trust is very necessary for you to be revealed the secrets of the universe, for you to come into this experience of mysticism, so to say, Uh, so, so Krishna says, I will now tell you the rahasya. ओशो बोलते हैं कृष्ण अर्जुन को ये नहीं बोलते हैं कि मैं तुझे सत्य बताऊंगा. He does not say I'm going to tell you the truth. So he says what is the difference between darshan shastri and Krishna. So जो दर्शना शास्त्री हैं, those who are philosophers will expound truth. They will have all these theories about truth. And uh, that is what they expound. And in that expounding, there are many calculations. So Osho bada funny. I like the way he says, Darshan Shastri bas ganit बैठाता रहता hai. He's always doing this calculation. Ye hoga to ye hoga. And he's trying to go with that logic. And philosophers work like that. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is giving him something which is even bigger than truth, which is rahasya. And this is interesting. We always think truth is the highest. But यहाँ पे ओशो अपनी commentary में he's saying that he's giving you the key to the mystery of the universe, and that is bigger than rahasya, than truth himself. So then all calculations will drop, uh, and uh, and your arguments. The path of the philosopher is through arguments. Instead of arguments, what you are doing is simply jumping into the unknown. When you jump into the unknown, mystery reveals itself, mystical experiences happen. I'm sure many of you have had that experience. That is why we are all here together, still exploring the Gita. Uh, and Krishna very nicely tells to Arjun that not only will I tell you that which can be said, I will also tell you that which cannot be said. Now we have spoken about there are certain things in these experiences. धर्म की खोज में सब कुछ नहीं बोला जा सकता. There are certain things which cannot be said because words cannot capture them. Words and language is a logical dimension. Then what does Krishna do for Arjun? In the chapter which is coming further, Krishna gives Arjun दिव्य दृष्टि कि जो मैं तुझे बता नहीं सकता अर्जुन मैं तुझे दिखाता हूं. He gives him divya drishti so he can come into direct experience. This is what Krishna is saying to him, and he'll follow through in his promise. So, Swami Mukundananda on this particular verse says in this word, Krishna affirms to Arjun that he will bestow upon him the theoretical knowledge regarding see, I told you, Gyan or Vigyan in Swami Mukundananda's commentary, Gyan is still theory and Vigyan is the experience. In our uh, format that we follow with Osho, it's the reverse. So this is again for interest and understanding and perspectives on different commentaries. Theoretical knowledge regarding the Supreme Divine Personality. He will also illuminate his mind with the required wisdom. Once this knowledge is acquired, there will be nothing remaining for him to know. Okay, just for perspective. Shweta we are going to listen to the story directly from Sadhguru. Beautifully said. Now, जब कृष्ण अर्जुन को बोलते हैं आई विल गिव यू ऑल दिस नॉलेज what do you think? What kind of knowledge is he speaking of? Do you, and I want to hear from you, do you think he's speaking of theoretical knowledge? You don't think he's speaking of knowledge which is beyond theory. What is the difference between theoretical knowledge and the knowledge which is beyond theory? Listen to the story of Shwetaketu because Osho in his commentary has mentioned it, and I love the way Sadhguru ये story explain करते हैं. So just give me a moment and I will put this up. We must listen to this. I think we'll do this together. If I put it on the group chat, I know some people listen, some people don't follow, and I think this is very important. So I should have put this already. Uh, okay, I'm going to share the screen. Please tell me if you can see it. Somebody give me a thumbs up to know if you can hear the audio. Okay. Wait. Mm. Can you hear the audio? Can someone give me a thumbs up? Can you hear?
No, we can't hear the audio.
Okay, wait. I'll try again. Huh? I just have to set the audio. Just tell me if you can hear it now.
No, Shruti. No, we lost your audio too. Yeah, we lost both your video and audio.
To study. 12 years he studied. A brilliant boy, he grasped everything. Well, whose name was
Now
Shwetaketu.
it's coming.
Shwetaketu means a white comet. Shweta means white, Ketu means like a comet or a streak. Shwetaketu was born in a certain family of Brahmins. Today it has just reduced itself into a certain sect or a caste. But fundamentally, a Brahman means, Brahman means the ultimate. A Brahman means one who is in touch with the ultimate. Today somebody is Brahmin by birth, it doesn't mean anything. If you are a Brahmin out of your awareness, that's everything, you know. So this is a family of Brahmins, not only by birth, but they truly exist as Brahmins. This boy, when he reached 12 years of age, he was sent to a certain master to study. 12 years he studied. A brilliant boy, he grasped everything well. All the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras. These, what I am referring to, they contain everything that can ever be said about a human being. Anything that can be said about man and his beyond is said in the scriptures. That's why they're so dangerous. He learnt everything. 12 years of study. Being a brilliant boy, he grasped everything. After 12 years, the master said, "There is nothing more to learn for you. You have learnt everything that is there to learn. I think it's better you go home." The boy went back home. He entered the house. The father, who was sitting there, looked at him and he said, "You have come as an ignorant fool. No, I learnt all the Vedas, the Upanishads. If you want, I can recite them backwards, if you want." He says, "I know, everything that can be learnt you have learnt. But that which learns, about that you have not learnt anything. The very way you walk, I know. You know too much. I can see that now you know too much, but you do not know that which knows. So you are very ignorant. We are true Brahmins. We are not just Brahmins by birth. If you want to be here, you must know the knower, not that which can be known. You go back to your master." The boy came home. 12 years he's been out for study. He comes home with graduation. You're supposed to set up a party for him. But this father just turns him out of the house. The boy goes back to the master and says, "My father says I'm ignorant. I know all the Vedas, Upanishads, everything that you taught me I have learned sincerely. But my father says I'm ignorant. He says I must know the knower." So the master said, "Oh, you want to know the knower? That's good. These 12 years you were only interested in that which can be known. So we taught you all the nonsense that can be known in the world. You learnt all that, so I sent you back. Now you are saying that you want to know the knower. Let me see. You do one thing. Take this herd of cattle. In the ashram they have cattle. Take this herd of cattle and go into the forest." There were 400 cattle. He said, "You take it and go into the forest. Just be with them. When they become 1,000, you come back." 400 to become 1,000, how much time it's going to take? Whatever time it takes. When it becomes 1,000, you come back. Shvetaketu couldn't believe this. He's gone through the full scale of education. It's like you went to the university, studied for 20 years, got a PhD, then they say you have to be a cowboy. You have to just graze cattle. He went. Initially there was turmoil, struggles, and what is this? Everybody rejected me, and my master gave me this, and so many things. A few weeks and months the mind ran. See, for your mind to run continuously, you need input. Without fuel it cannot go on. Constantly you're giving that input to it, isn't it? So he just went into the forest, just the cattle. Slowly, he forgot about what's happening in the ashram, at home. These Vedas, Upanishads, this knowledge is powerful only if there is somebody to listen to you. Okay? All knowledge is powerful only if there is somebody to show it off to. With the cattle, the cows won't listen to your Vedas. They will just go chomp, 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 So slowly this chomp, chomp, chomp just sank into him. Slowly his Vedas, his Upanishads, these 12 years of learning the scriptures, slowly they fell apart over a period of time. He just became like the cows. When he's hungry, he eats, otherwise, he just sits there. They say the shape of his eyes changed. They became like the cow. He became so much like the cow, but truly existing. No more a slave of his mind. When he sits absolutely. If he's with a cow, he's a cow. If he touches a tree, he's a tree. If he's sitting on the earth, he becomes the earth. He just became an absolute presence because there is no input to the mind. No, nothing to go on. Simply sitting. Then he forgot the language. Then he forgot the numbers. Then he doesn't know whether it is 1,000 or 10,000. He's simply there. Then the cows came to him one day and told him, "We are 1,000. Let's go back to the master." So he just went with the cows back to the ashram. He just came, all the cows entered the ashram and stood there. He also stood. The ashram has grown big. The number of disciples has multiplied manyfold. But he just stood along with the cows. Then all the disciples, full excitement, they all came and said, "Shvetaketu has come back. Let's count the cows. Maybe he may not have 1,000. Let's see." They counted. It was 1,000. Then they told the master, "It is 1,000. He's come back." Master said, "No, it's not 1,000. It's 1,001. Because Shvetaketu has completely lost his person now. He's just become an absolute presence." So don't make everything into an input. Gathering, gathering, gathering. We gathered enough on this planet, we are going to gather more and more and more. It doesn't matter how much you gather, you will not know the absolute. You will not know the ultimate. Only when you throw away the gathering and without anything, if you can be here. It does not mean getting rid of something. It is just that if all impressions that you have gathered in the form of knowledge, in the form of everything that's gone into you, if that is kept away, then you will see that which is knowing everything, that which is the basis of knowing becomes present in a huge way. Huge is the wrong word because it becomes absolute and unbounded.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Shwati.
Okay, one second. Huh? I have to just exit from this. Oh, okay. All right. So two, three things here. Anybody else has any observations? Quickly, over 3, 4 minutes, we'll just discuss this. Anyone has any observations? Does it create anxiety in you that, what are you telling me? What if I also become like a cow? I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live in the world like that. Does it create that anxiety in you? Oh God, where is this coming from? One
I
second.
I thought like how beautiful it will be to
Mm-hmm.
that would be a so peaceful state.
You
That's what
thought
I
it will be a
felt.
peaceful state. Okay. Anybody else? Any comments? Okay. So few things. I want to just share some observations. One is this is what it means to transcend ego. This is what it means when the other is not there and I am also not there. What we began this chapter with. And only prem bach jata hai. Na premi, na prem patra. ना प्रेमी है ना प्रेम पात्र है, but प्रेम बच जाता है. This is what Shvetaketu became. He became a cow. Whatever he was with, he just, if he was with the cows, his consciousness merged with the cows, he became that. That's what we spoke in Yoga Sutras. If he is with his guru, his consciousness will merge, become with the guru, he becomes one with it. He becomes one with whatever there is. You may think that does such a person become stupid? He will not be able to talk. Actually, no. If you look at somebody like Osho or like Sadhguru, for me, these are the only people I know who are mystics, who, in my understanding, from whatever I know, their ego has dissolved. They are not in that state. Krishna himself, ego dissolved. These people, they don't become stupid. Then it's not that they are not able to talk, it's not that their intellect as a component of their human machinery has disappeared. It still exists, but they use it based on their discretion. When it is needed, they use it, otherwise it's not needed. When it is required in the world, they use it. Sadhguru itna kaam karte hain, so jab kaam karte hain, he has to talk. Now Sadhguru himself, by his own admission, he says, I have never studied the Vedas. None of that happened to me. Whatever has happened to me is the blessing of my Guru. He blessed me, and whatever I know today is because of him. Whatever knowledge, whatever I'm sharing it's like it's known to him from cosmos. So it is not through knowledge and study that he knows the truth or the essence of what is being said in the Upanishads and Gita. It is through direct experience or the grace of his Guru, which means he may not be reciting the Sanskrit verses, but honestly, studying the Gita and Yoga Sutra on one hand as a text and Sanskrit, and listening to Sadhguru, I could connect everything. Whatever was said there in Sanskrit and esoteric explanation, Sadhguru explained it in simple words as truth and essence, and I could, many of us, we can just quickly corroborate because the truth is known to him. The mystery has already been revealed to him. He is in the understanding and experience of that mystery, but he's not giving it to you in all of this. And it's a point. All of this is useful only when you have an audience. लोगों को सुनाना है तो संस्कृत verse बोलो. I will not say it's just for that. There are many people who use this as a path itself because the chanting helps them to purify. Absolutely. I mean, I respect that. We value that, and there is beauty in it. See, भगवत गीता का पाठ ओशो भी बोलते हैं. ये सब सिर्फ थ्योरी accumulate करने में कुछ नहीं है. But at some point later on in the Gita, he says, Jagat Guru Kripaluji Maharaj, who is Swami Mukundananda's guru, who established all those temples, एक बारी बोलते हैं कृष्ण ये सब बोलते हैं. Krishna gives all these shlokas. It makes sense because he's Krishna and saying all this. You giving all this shloka, you chanting all this, what is the point of it? Tell me what is the point of it? And he is like total bhakti tradition. Osho bhi yahi bolte hain. But then somewhere Osho says, it is a vibration. That part is a vibration. Gita ka पाठ करने में you also connect to the vibration that Krishna is in, and it helps to purify you, and to that extent it has value. But it is only then being used as a tool for your own purification. Not कि आप पाठ करेंगे तो आपको गीता समझ आ गई. नहीं, आपको पाठ करने से गीता नहीं समझ में आएगी. That is the point that Osho makes, and I found that useful. Another thing, if you think that, oh, if I become like this, how will I work in the world? So remember, we've all lived here for this long. We understand how to work in the world. We understand how to deal with people, relationships, our vocation. Most of us can do it with one eye and one hand, isn't it? We have become so adept at it. With one hand and one eye, you can manage all of that. It's really, really, I'm sure many of you can do that. That is why we all multitask. So don't think that it means I will not be able to function, I cannot relate with people. It's not like that. It's just that don't think all your energy is needed to go into it anymore. Some part of your energy you keep for that. This is my personal observation because initially when I heard, I was like, oh, then how do I function? What if I become like this? How will I interact with people? And then I contemplate. This is my own observation, and I feel the rest of your energy dedicate into jumping into this experience, into what Krishna says, jumping into the unknown. and then the mysteries will be revealed to you. Okay, so the Shvetaketu story I wanted to share, I'm going back to the screen now. uh View slideshow. Is everybody on slideshow mode now? Yeah, proper slideshow mode, right? All right, so continuing further, it's still recording, right? It's showing recording. It's not recording, it's recording, no? Because I can't see it on this screen. All right. Now, the third verse. Amongst thousands of persons, hardly one strives for perfection. And amongst those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows in truth. So, see, when you listen, Shwetaketu is what the level to which he is going is what Gita is recommending. Gita is Dharma Shastra. It is telling you, drop your ego. And like we discussed in the previous chapter, many people come to spirituality not to dissolve their ego, not to become like Shvetaketu. We all come here to increase our happiness quotient. थोड़ा और सुख मिल जाएगा. You know, मेरी problems चली जाएंगी life से. That is why we all come to it. No harm in it. At least something drives you to come to it. And sukh and happiness has its value because it creates time and space to then pursue your sadhana. वो नहीं होगा, and if outside is creating too much noise, it's difficult to pursue your sadhana. You need clear time. All right. So among thousands of people, it's hardly one strives towards this perfection, Krishna says. And even among those who strive, only one knows me among them. Knows me means becomes surrendered, will even surrender. Most people will not even surrender. Sorry, I have lost my notes page. Okay. So this is from Swami Mukundananda's commentary. He says, without bhakti or loving devotion, it is not possible to realize the supreme spiritual aspirants of karma, jnana, hatha yoga cannot know God unless they include devotion in their practice. Sri Krishna has stated this fact several times. So he's quoted several verses from the Gita to make his point as to how devotion is the highest. Just to give you perspective, how Swami Sarvapriyananda says Advaita is the highest, self-inquiry. Like this, Swami Mukunda will Nanda will say Bhakti is the highest. Tilak, who has written his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, will say Karma is the highest. But this is how people put their own interpretations, just for interest and observation. Now, um, why is it that among thousands of people only one strives? So Osho explains, क्यों हम भगवान की तरफ नहीं जाते? Why don't we become devotees naturally? Why don't we seek? Why are we not seekers? Most of us are not seekers of this transcendental reality. We don't want to know ultimate reality. We just are happy with our toys and plastic toys, and a little bit of sukh here and there is fine with me. So Osho बोलते हैं, till the mind, it is the nature of the mind. If you are okay with life, sab theek chal raha hai, you will not even bother. The moment you begin to start experiencing absence, then something might trigger. So he says the nature of mind is such that it flows towards absence, towards that which is negative. He says you have 32 teeth, okay? One teeth goes missing. You never all your life acknowledged or, rejoice that I have 32 teeth. But one tooth goes missing and this tongue will only keep going there. He gives the story of this poor man. He says that I'm so poor, all I have is a begging bowl, life is so hard for me, I'm going to commit suicide. Now he's about to jump into the ocean, whatever, jump and end his life. There is this fakir who meets him, and this fakir says, why do you want to do this? So he tells him, my life is so hard, I have nothing in my life, I'm so depressed, there is no sukh in my life, and that is why I have decided to end my life. So the fakir says that, my guru has a test to check whether you have something in life or not. You say you have nothing. Why don't we do this test? So that man says, okay, he's willing to go along with his idea. He says, I have heard that the emperor, if you give away your one eye, he is going to give you 100,000 gold coins. If you give two eyes, he will give you 200,000. So this man suddenly shocked. He says, what are you saying? Give my eyes. So he said, okay, since you are jumping into the river, ocean, whatever, you might need your eyes to travel. You're on the path to suicide, but you might still need your eyes. Let's leave the eyes. Why don't you give one leg and one hand? I can still get you 50,000 for the leg and 50,000 for the hand. And suddenly, it shakes this man. So Osho says this is how it is. Whatever we have, we do not rejoice in that. We do not acknowledge that. And we are always man abhav ki taraf daudta hai. This is how the dhara of mind is. Mind means storm. We spoke of all that. Mind means negativity. It is ego dimension. It will find faults. So uh, s- so Osho says first step is contentment. Now when he says contentment, what does contentment means? This also has to be understood. We'll explore contentment a little bit. Only then you have gratitude towards God. See, this man has no gratitude towards God, isn't it? He thinks मेरे को भगवान ने कुछ नहीं दिया, let me end my life. But if there is a certain contentment, there is gratitude for God, that you've given me so much, I want to know you. So Osho says it's like this: you are eating a fruit, there is the rus of that fruit. Now as you come into that state, you want to know what is the source, what is the wellspring of that anand, where is it coming from? And so your spiritual journey begins. At the same time, uh, uh, contentment does not mean, oh, I have surrendered to God, the ocean will come to me. It is not laziness. Okay, contentment is like a state of gratitude which makes you want to seek God. Know where is this coming from. And uh, So so contentment is step one in seeking God. Why do very few people even strive for God? Osho says, see, dekho, how do you strive for something that you have not experienced? It's like for some time, if I take away your tooth, I take away your leg, suddenly you are like a fish out of water. Now a fish who is always in water, we are always in God. You cannot be outside God, no, because God is astitva. You cannot be outside. So when you cannot be outside, there is no contrast that is created for you to experience ki, there is something which is the source, or there is a certain lack, and how was I happy earlier, and where was that source? So it's like a fish that is in water, never seeks the water, doesn't even know that it should seek the water, but the moment it's taken out, it's gasping for water. Now its journey has begun. So it's something like that. Because Osho says we are always surrounded by God, our journey towards that God doesn't begin because we've not experienced it like that. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. I mean, like I'm just picking up key point from, uh, and then Krishna says, even among those who seek me, very few really attain to that perfection. When he says attain to that perfection, what he means is come into absolute surrender. How are we? I have made a determined effort. I will put all my will to do samarpan. You cannot do samarpan by will. Today I failed in surrendering to God, but tomorrow I will work harder and I will surrender to God. संकल्प से समर्पण नहीं होता है. Surrender is a ghatna of, it's an occurrence that happens in your heart, in your feelings, in your emotion, and that is the place of bhakti. So there is a beautiful story. It's a true story that Osho says of shares of Bahubali. So Rishabh, who was the father to many of these Tirthankars, uh, his sons came and took initiation from him for renunciation. That time, Bahubali was not so inclined. He was still contemplating and thinking about it. He was the eldest of his sons. And then the younger sons took initiation, but he never took. And then something came over him, and he went through his victories and realized the pointlessness of his victories, and he wanted to follow this path. Now, a problem arose inside him. He says, if I take renunciation now, I will have to go and bow down to my younger brothers. So he did not want, like, if I take initiation now, then I will have to go bow down to my younger brothers, which was a problem with him. So he said, I'm going to do it myself. I will create my own initiation and I will create my own renunciation. So he did severe tapas, intense austerity he did. And people, the devas and people around him, villages, the news spread that there is this ascetic who has been doing such intense tapasya that the birds have made nests on his body. Vines are growing around him, have wrapped around him. But he is still absorbed in his tapasya. So this news reaches his father Rishab and he smiles. Then he calls his youngest daughter, Bahubali's sister, and he gives her a message. He explains to her that the only thing why this is not happening, why that enlightenment is not happening for Bahubali is because he's still stuck with Sankalp. He is still in the ego dimension and he gives her a message, he gives her an idea to go and take this message to Bahubali. So she goes and she sings a song कि और उस सॉन्ग में बोलते हैं कि तुमको जो करना था बाहुबली तुम कर चुके, अब तुम अपने हाथी की पालकी से नीचे आओ, come down from your high horse. And she sings a song that captures this idea. And the moment Bahubali hears this, something happens inside him, something triggers, something shifts, and he falls into surrender. So, surrender is not something which is a decision of the mind. You cannot surrender by decision, by sankalp. It is a transformation that happens inside you. Your energies get realigned and you fall into surrender. Something happened inside him and he fell into surrender. And that moment, Osho says, that thing happened for him. So he shares this story of Bahubali to explain this surrender. uh, okay. Now, let's take this up. We have 5 minutes, but there is a lot that I can talk on this. Also, from practice perspective of the Panch Mahabhuta. But let's look at just broadly and we'll go into its details. If you are interested in understanding what are the practices that can be done, those of who listen to Sadhguru may be familiar, but we'll look at it. So before we go further, when Osho बड़ा अच्छा बोलते हैं, कि ये जो समर्पण की यात्रा है, this surrender which happens within us, ओशो बोलते हैं ये युद्ध की यात्रा नहीं है. संकल्प इज युद्ध. I will fight with myself and I will make surrender happen. He says no, ये प्रेम की यात्रा है. It is an occur. See, can you decide to fall in love with somebody? No, na. You cannot decide to fall. If love is not happening towards you, it's not happening. That's all. That's why the term fall in love. You don't rise in love. You fall in love. It just happens. There is no reason. It just happens. You fall in love. So you cannot decide to be in love with anybody. So that is the difference between sankalp and surrender. That is why that was the essence of that shloka that we did. All right. Now moving on to the fourth one. Earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego. These are 8 components of my material energy. So now Krishna goes on to describe that. So if you look at Advaita, Vedanta commentaries, they will say there are 2 aspects that Krishna has described: inferior energy and superior. So they divide everything into this inferior, superior. And I think, I don't know, personal observations, let me leave those out. But he will say that inferior energy is the material nature and the superior energy is the transcendental aspect of God. Okay, this is how they describe it. We'll look at it from the yoga perspective. So in Yoga Sutras, we spoke of Panch Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air and space. यहाँ पे वो बोलते हैं कि ये पंच महाभूता plus 3 more, which is manas, buddhi, ahamkar. These 8 constitute my material energy. Okay, so even all of this, which is true, which is, if you look at the Yoga Sutra model, we'll come into that. Uh, oh, I have it here. Okay, Panch Mahabhuta, Prakriti is up till here. So Manas, Buddhi, Ahamkar is also Prakriti. It is matter, it is material energy. Now, Osho says the most important, the fundamental aspect of this is fire. From fire, everything else is formed. So he says, see, fire is Jivan ki Jyoti. Even if you have a flame, if you cover the flame totally, if no oxygen goes into the flame will die, correct? So ये जो जीवन की ज्योति is like this, it is within us. And when this जीवन की ज्योति is fed, then Osho explains in his commentary that the solidified form of fire appears as earth. Okay, the liquid form of fire is water, and this flowy form of fire is air. So it is sustained with it. This is how it works. This is it's a law, he says. Agni manifests itself as uh, the solid existence, liquid, and as gas. So water, earth, and air. Then there is space. What is space? So he says, see, anything, suppose a murder happens here, the first question is asked is where and when, correct? If you have to establish something, you need its coordinates. Where did it happen and when did it happen? So time and space. Now, when Krishna talks of this, time and space are not seen as two dimensions. Time and space is the same thing. Space and time go together. He has quoted from Einstein and explained how this is just one, it's not two dimensions. So, where something happens and when is the space aspect of it. Now, just to give you a little bit on how Swami Mukundananda has explained this, he says Einstein stated it is possible to convert mass into energy. Okay, that's why we say energy is indestructible, matter keeps changing form. Correct? Fire becomes water, air, earth. Fire is there, it will become solid. It becomes earth, it becomes water when it flows. But Osho in his commentary explains fire is the mool stotra. Then theory of relativity replaced an earlier concept of the universe made of solid matter. Okay. Scientific community has been on the lookout for a single field or unified field theory which could expound on the relationship between matter and four forces of the universe, which is what Krishna is giving. The relationship between matter and all the forces of nature is what has been explained in this particular sutra. Uh, So more than 5,000 years ago, before modern science, Krishna told Arjun, all that exists in the universe is manifested from my material energy. And he quotes Taittiriya Upanishad that from my material energy, the Akash, ether was created from ether. This is how Taittiriya Upanishad explains. From Akash, ether is created, the air. From air, fire is created. From fire, water. From water, earth. From earth, plants, food, man. This man is essentially made of food essence. This is how Taittiriya Upanishad explains. I'm just giving you perspectives. Osho says, fire se sab kuch aata hai. Isme it has been explained, you know, from God, his energy, Akash. Akash is God. Space, or for space, say, it's like he's showing the downward transcendence. In Yoga Sutra, we move from Panch Mahabhuta upwards, just perspectives. All right. Now, why this thing? So, uh, see, there are some commentaries that speak of this Pancha Mahabhuta as Krishna giving a very poetic expression to creation. But this is not poetry, this is pure science. We will speak of all these elements, how they function, how they change us, how they create thoughts inside us. Interaction of these elements is creating experiences inside us. See, to explain it simply, so does everybody here understand how does earth, water, fire, air, and space manifest inside us? Does everybody know? Those of you who have done yoga classes with me are very familiar with it. Nidhi, are you aware? Ratna, Shravanti? Shravanti did the Panchamuta Kriya with
Yeah,
Sadhguru
yeah.
time,
I
so a
just
lot
know
of that
from
has
that.
become clear. I don't know if how should I go into it, but let's do this briefly. Monica, are you aware of it? Do
Yeah,
you
lightly, not as much as probably.
So tell me how does earth manifest in our body?
Is that your body by itself, the material body by itself?
Air,
Is your breath?
water,
The other liquids of your body?
yeah. So Correct. Nice. So just little bit elaborating on it. Earth is bones, the structure that you have, the hard structure is earth. Your muscles, your bone, your teeth, hair, the hard stuff is your structure. This is earth element. How does water manifest? Plasma, fluid, blood. This is water element. So this is science, okay? All of this has corresponding impact. And Ayurveda uses this science of elements to then give treatments to people to bring their balance back. Then air expresses itself as the interaction, the breath. But breath is also different kind of, see how much carbon dioxide you have in the body, how much oxygen you have in the body. The higher the level of oxygen, the higher the level of prana. Then too much carbon dioxide, too much nitrous oxide, how will it create? Uh, uh, what impact does it have on your mind? It will know. Nitrous oxide is what is used as anesthesia. Too much nitrous oxide can maybe make you behosh, faint kar dega tumko. So how is the balance of these air uh, uh, systems in your air, in your breath? How much of each exists? Okay. Then so the water, air, earth, fire. How does fire manifest? It manifests as metabolism, your capacity to digest, digestive fire. That's why we call it Jathara Agni. Buddhi is fire. It is called Chitta Agni. Where does fire exist in your body? In your eyes. See, vision. What does fire bring to us? Clarity. Light illumines us. That is why they say, no, all diseases begin in the colon. Because तुम्हारी एक बारी digestive fire becomes weak, that means now your ability, illumination, गंदगी, toxins बढ़ रहे हैं, because वो साफ नहीं हो रहा. You need fire to clean the toxins. If those toxins get cleaned up, then the vision and illumination, and this is not just vision in terms of physical vision, but your clarity about what is happening in life is also better. Illumination. So eyes is a place of vision. It's an eye is a place of illumination. Also, the inner light, illumination, that is the element of fire inside your intelligence, how sharp it is, how much clarity you have. That is all chitta agni. Then so Sadhguru to char panch agni batate hai. I don't remember all. There is chitta. Then he speaks of a cool agni. um, Shravanti, help me here if you remember the names, okay, because she did the session with
Sarvagni, Sarvagni.
Sarvagni. So Sarvagni is the cool agni. So Sadhguru bolte hain, this is the fire. This is the fire that a seeker carries. The fire exists, but it's cool. It's cool. It doesn't burn others, but within you, it's working. And he says the whole process of Bhuta Shuddhi is to increase the percentage of Sarvagni. He has also spoken about how certain molecules, the percentage of certain molecules in water will help with the purification of water, and towards that they have what is called as jiva rasa. So jiva rasa mein vibhuti hoti hai, and you put this jiva rasa in your water, and it it little bit of vibhuti keeps trickling out of that, and it will increase the component of some hydrogen, certain particles in water, which helps with the purification of water element. And 72% of our body is water. So uh, so the agni is also of different kinds. And then space, what is space in the body? Cavities. See all this: cavity of the mouth, the thoracic cavity, the pelvic cavity, all this is cavity. This space should be kept. Why do we do so much chest openers and hip openers? If you go to yoga classes, chest openers and hip openers are the biggest, uh, you know, uh, they carry a lot of emphasis in yoga class, because these are the places which always stay closed. The kind of life that we live, sitting all the time, working on your laptop, these cavities become very close. Now space is the place, it's your pot which is carrying all the elements. If your space is so closed, how will you carry an expanded version of all these water, fire, all of this, so the space has to be closed. Why? Because it allows for the interaction of these elements to happen in an enhanced way, in a beautiful way. Otherwise, what will happen? It's like this. Sadhguru says 70% of your body is water. Water gets sloshed. You walk, water is getting sloshed in all kinds of directions. Okay. Now, if you don't have adequate fire inside you to direct this water in a certain way, what is the natural movement of water? It will flow downwards, no? That is the natural movement of water. So you are 72% of water, your fire element is very low, then where is all your energy moving? Water's energy. Where is it moving? To lower chakras. People live in food and sex. Majority of their life is going just in food and sex, in survival. That is water glowing down. But if you can increase your fire element, then you can direct the water which is going down can become vapor and can start moving upwards. Now it is not getting sloshed. So uske liye interaction of water and fire becomes very important. Too much water will douse your fire. Too much fire can create imbalances in your metabolism, can create aggression, anger, all of that in the system. So, how do you balance? And Sadhguru has said this time when we were doing the session with him, he says, in women, percentage of water is slightly higher than men. And he said it will happen because the woman's body has to carry the fetus. So, she has to be like that. She is created like that. And therefore, we are seeing a lot of problems in mental health more in girls than boys. If you notice around, it's happening in our world. More mental health issues with girls. So, Sadhguru says one of the very important things is that once the girl hits puberty, some basic practice of balancing Surya Kriya, Surya Namaskar is very important because it will create that balance that is needed. Otherwise, the water will just slosh. See, all that menstrual cycle, we are releasing blood fluids are getting out of our system. So that is how a woman's body is maintained. So the space element should be very well kept because space में ही तो सारी interactions हो रही हैं of all these elements. So like Swami Sarvapriyananda will just he touches upon that. They will not get into details of this, but yoga goes into the whole science of the Pancha Mahabhuta and how they work. And I do want to share because it's also connected to Ayurveda. So he will just say that okay, each element creates a certain experience. So we will 10:30. Do you think we should continue or we should take 10 minutes and cover this? Yeah, yes, no.
Yeah, I'm okay to continue.
Okay, let's do this 10 minutes. Let's understand since we are at it, let's look at the elements and how they function. Now, the point is, so देखो जो लोग बोलते हैं कि ये ज्ञान है, then this is the theory. This is the theory of five elements. Understand this theory of, so Swami Sarvapriyananda's kind of Vedanta commentaries will say, this is the theory of five elements. Understand the theory of five elements and now convert it to Vigyan. So watch it within yourself and see how you can enhance your experience, what is happening. Interaction of these elements creates experiences. It creates our moods. It creates our feelings. So and the interaction of these elements, the yogi uses, uh, having understood this, see, the interaction of these elements is what is also creating ahamkar. We spoke of ego or ahamkar as a sticky substance. Water is like that. Water is the sticky substance. So if water element balancing is very important, and we look at how do we do bhuta shuddhi. In yoga, there are specific processes for bhuta shuddhi. So these Pancha Mahabhuta, if they are purified, your system works well. Ego is managed. Ego is also a substance. It is coming from it. It's a very subtle form of matter, but it is still matter. See, it's part of Krishna's material energy. वो बोलते हैं मनस बुद्धि अहंकार ये भी मेरी material energy है. ये पंच महाभूतों से आती है, but it's a subtle form of that material energy. Okay, and conditioned patterns are creating that subtle matter of manas buddhi. What is manas? It's a place of our likes, dislikes, emotions. It is coming from all of this. It is coming from the interaction of these elements. Okay. So, just for you to understand, what are these five elements? How much? So water is 72%. What is water? How does water manifest inside you? Yes, it is seen as blood and fluid, but it is touch, it is taste. Water is what gives taste. Saliva is water, isn't it? Without saliva, without water, you will have no taste for anything. And it is not just taste of food, taste of experiences. Why do you taste a human being as sweet? And why do I taste the same human being as unpleasant? Because the interaction of water, fire, air, earth in me is in a certain way, and the interaction of these elements is in a certain way in a certain person. Therefore, it creates his mind, which is in a different way, and it creates my like and dislike, which is in a different way. Does that make sense? How do we taste life? What is the taste of your life? I think life is so worthless. I want to commit suicide. This is your water having doused all your fire. That is what I want to commit suicide. Water is getting sloshed. Then there is fire. Fire is 4%. But Sadhguru bolte hain, see just 4% and look at the amount of anger, violence that is going on in our lives all around us, just with 4% of fire. So he says, purify this fire. Purify this fire. Make this Use this fire to illumine your mind, to keep your system clean. How do so As I talk about this, I will look at how do we purify water element kaise purify karte hain. In yoga we say keep water in copper jug for 6 to 8 hours and drink water from that. Whenever you drink water, approach water very pure, very reverentially. Understand what I'm drinking is not commodity. Water is not a commodity. It's a life making ingredient. It is going to make life. So before you put that life making ingredient inside you, bless it. So in traditional culture, in our culture, they would put a little bit of vibhuti, put a lamp in front of that copper jug, leave it overnight with a flower, and then drink that water literally like prasad. So next time you drink water, treat it as prasad, तीर्थ. हम बोलते हैं ना तीर्थ because Sadhguru बोलते हैं water carries memory and water is the substance that carries the highest amount of memory. इसीलिए मंदिरों में पानी रखा जाता है. तीर्थ, वन ड्रॉप ऑफ तीर्थ, व्हाट विल पीपल नॉट डू? कैलाश का पानी आता है, गंगा जल, वी ऑल आर छिड़कोइंग, वी ऑल गो फॉर डिप इनटू कुंभ मेला. क्यों जाते हैं लोग कुंभ मेला में डिप के लिए? बिकॉज the and most who people have meditated and done sadhana along the Ganges, and they have done dubki into this Ganges, and their energy memory as memory is now stored in that Ganga ka pani, in that pani. And that is why you sprinkle on it, because so that you become one with that energy. That is the power of water. That is why, so he says, water carries memory. That is why Tirth has value. Once the energy of those sacred chants has gone in it, once those blessings have gone, once it is kept close to God, you drink that. It becomes part of you. So those are methods to purify water. How you approach water. Fire. How do you purify fire? One thing is, Sadhguru bolte hai, go out in the sun every day, expose your back to the sun. He also says, sit in front of an oil lamp. Also expose your back to the oil lamp, sit in front of an oil lamp. Preferably, when you're using fire for cleansing, put sesame or ghee lamp. He says this is the most conducive because it creates a certain kind of ethereal atmosphere around you and it helps cleansing. Those of you who want, I will share with you a Panchabhuta, a way to energize your space. Sadhguru gives us a method of I will share that. You can look. You make a star-shaped figure, okay, which is done with rice flour, which is earth. Then in that you put a plate in which you pour water. That's water element. In that water element, you put a little bit of you put a diya and you put sesame oil or ghee and put a flower, which is also the earth element, and you put it. He says this energizes the space. So I used to do this like every day, I think during my children's high school days in their room, because I thought with their school and what is going on in their lives, and they don't talk to you and they don't know you don't know what's going on in their heads. Like I need some clean space. I used to do it every day in there. It was one commitment I took on myself that at least this much I will do on their 12th grade. just as a energy cleansing. So I'll share that with you on group chat. So fire cleansing will happen through that. Fire cleansing happens in a big, potent way. Surya Namaskar, asana practice, very nice. Even meditation. See, don't meditation. After meditation, you will notice your metabolism will drop, and meditation really works like we are working. जो लोग शांभवी करते हैं, ईशा क्रिया सदगुरु बोलते हैं ना, यहाँ दिस इज द प्लेस ऑफ फायर. अग्निया है ये थर्ड आई है, इसे खोलना है. इफ दिस अग्निया opens up, illumination happens. That is what enlightenment is. So purify the fire element in you like that. Okay. uh, Also, certain chants. See the Yogeshwarai chant. Today is Mahashivratri. Please do it. I will share with you. Yogeshwarai chant Sadguru had given to us during COVID. And he says it generates heat inside your body. There are chants that will create heat inside your body, and and they have to be done in a certain way because it uses breath. Sound uses breath. So the last line, Yogeshwaraya. If you say that yeah full, you have to literally pull the navel deeply into the spine. Tabhi wo breath puri nikalti hai. And then the fire gets stimulated. So he says, do that as I mean, we on Mahashivratri to as part of practice, we used to do it 108 times. You have to do Yogeshwaraya chant, and that purifies. So certain chants are also used in purifying fire. And where is fire existing? It's existing in Manipurka, right? Swadhishthan is the place of water. Manipurka chakra is the place of fire. Then there is air. Air is 6%. So uh, air is that boundless element, okay? No boundaries. What the trees are exhaling, I am inhaling. So Sadhguru says you may dislike a person, and you will say, I'm never going to speak to this person. He says, you may say so. This is your stupid mind, which has all these boundaries and ego, which will say, I will not interact with you. But really, he says, you sit like this. Let me see how long you can sit. I will not breathe what this person is breathing. Just do this. He says the life within you wants to live and interact with everybody. This is the nature of life. Life does not want ego. Life does not want boundary. The air in us wants to mix with everybody. That is why we don't like unpleasant situations, isn't it? If given a choice, we would rather be in harmony with everybody than be in disharmony, isn't it? We would rather be in pleasant relationships because the life inside us wants it. But then the interaction in our elements, because of water fire interaction, has been so poor. I have created boundaries, hard boundaries. I will not talk to this one, but the air within us wants to burst. It wants to interact with everybody. And that is why we seek this connection with God also. So air is that element. How to purify air element? Pranayama. So Sadhguru says, दो चीजें होती है प्राणायाम में. एक तो होता है नाड़ी शुद्धि. So when we do it like this, remember we do Vishnu Mudra. Am I still on? Yeah. So when we do Vishnu Mudra, then we are doing Nadi Shuddhi, which is purification of the two nadis. When we do Sukha Kriya, those of you who have been initiated into Shambhavi, Sukha Kriya mein, you are bringing balance into the system. Even Nadi Shuddhi ke different wo hote hai. First is just Nadi Shuddhi, which is purification. Then you can do this particular Anulom Vilom with certain ratios. Then it helps to balance. So like 148 is the ratio that you follow for purification of that element. So it's not just air. See, fire also gets engaged in that. Other elements are also engaged, but primarily like, breath, purification of breath. Lot of bhastrika, detox practices that we do. Bhastrika is a very purifying detox practice. It balances the carbon dioxide, oxygen levels in the body. So all these components get balanced. Bhastrika hai. Kapala Bhati purifies fire. It purifies the fire element in the body. It is working from the navel. So these are practices that you can use for purification of elements. Then there is earth. How will you purify earth? Food. Sattvic foods which are not stale. We all do this, but the fresher, the better. Directly, to the degree that you can manage. Less packaged foods. We are all given to this. Emergencies hai, convenience hai, figure it out. But if you are not able to say, that some, you have put in foods that you should not be eating. One simple thing is, Sadhguru bolte hain, keep an 8-hour gap between two meals. After the age of 30, have only two meals. So that gap itself helps to digest even the toxins. Otherwise, if your Agni is too low and it cannot digest, then toxins will build up more. Two, we follow the neem and turmeric ritual every morning. On empty stomach, have a ball of neem or turmeric, or you can get capsules also, जिसमें सब powder है. Himalaya has, Isha has. And just have two capsules of neem, two capsules of turmeric every morning for cleansing of the system. So physical earth must be purified like that. Okay. And don't think, and body keeps changing. Don't think earth is hard set. Even your own body, we have seen it keeps changing. Kabhi moti ho jati hai, kabhi patli ho jati hai. So it's all water element, how it's interacting, and depends upon our practice. We can change this body. Don't think it is so. Bone structure is there, but muscles, all of this can shift the shape of the body. All right, how we carry ourselves. So this is not poetry, this is science. There is a process called Bhuta Shuddhi, which is taught at Isha. Sadhguru says it is the most sophisticated a form of Bhuta Shuddhi. What I've shared with you on cleansing of elements, this is like Sadhguru says, on basic levels this can be done, but Bhuta Shuddhi ka jo physical process ritual hai, he says it's very sophisticated, and once you do Bhuta Shuddhi, whatever changes happen, it will not reverse. I also want to mention space. Akash is not a particular percentage. Sadhguru bolte it's not the remaining percentage is Akash. He says Akash is everything. All these other elements play in the lap of Akash. Akash is associated with intelligence. He says, if the element of Akash rises in you, everything that is there to know will be known to you. So, seekers and enlightened people will have that. How to connect to Akash? He says 3 times in a day, just before sunrise, noontime, and just 30 degrees after the sun has crossed towards sunset. Go outside, look outside your window, bow down to Akash, and say, thank you for keeping me together. He says all these forces in Akash are keeping you together. Otherwise, your three, whatever millions of molecules, atoms, they will just burst. This body is boundary. Many atoms are tightly bound, and so you have this body. If this force of Akash, all those forces of gravity are not working on you, you will simply burst, pat, and you're gone. Okay. So it is science, it is not poetry. Ayurveda is based on the knowledge of these five elements. What we call as doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, are formed from these elements. You know what is vata made of? Vata is made of air and ether. So people who are very vata oriented, you will see them move. First they like to move. They like to move a lot. They talk fast. Um, uh, their confusion can happen to them quickly because their mind moves very, very fast. They're also very intelligent because there's a lot of dynamism there. Vata people can also be healers because, see, their Akash element is higher in them. So naturally, they will fall into those healing modalities, come to them very easily. You will see them as thin people. This is how air and ether makes you like that. They may have bone issues because earth element is so weak in them. Kapha is not there. Then pitta people. And where is vata found in the body? So vata is found like below the navel. So all these colon issues, how air is moving, all of this is connected to vata disorders. Okay. Just giving you a brief on how this is not poetry, it is science. Elements have been classified and therefore they make doshas. The Ayurvedic practitioner understands your dosha and understands what your prakriti is. So I may be a vata type. This is my prakriti. This is good. But if my prakriti is experiencing imbalance, we call it vikriti. And therefore, the Ayurvedic practitioner will then address your Vikriti and try to manage your dosha balance through the understanding of the Pancha Mahabhuta. That is why they give you all these practices. See, even in Ayurveda, अगर आपने वसंत लाड की बुक पढ़ी है वो बोलते हैं put copper coin gold coin in water and drink because it will change the content of certain elements inside you. In science we speak of the periodic table, whatever 108 elements, sorry I forgot. Okay, so those elements they all exist, no? So Ayurveda uses this, how to change that, how to find balance. Pitta is when fire and water come together. That is when it creates the pitta dosha. It exists mostly in between the navel and the chest. So pitta dosha is like, you are going through diarrhea, and all of that is connected with a pitta dosha imbalance. Largely it once you get into details, it could be a combination of certain doshas. So interaction of fire and water, it has to be balanced. Then your pitta is balanced. When the interaction of fire and water becomes imbalanced, the dosha becomes imbalanced. Then there is kapha. Kapha is water and earth. So pitta kind of people, you will see them as like normally pale in their complexion, and they will have a well balanced structure. uh, Very intelligent people, they can be very aggressive sometimes because their fire, if it goes out of balance, they can be violent, they can be bossy, they can be very dominating. All of that can happen. If water goes out of balance, if water goes, it can create depression, it can create slowness. See, water is also cohesion. What is the property of water? Cohesion. It joins and it flows, but naturally it flows downwards. If the fire element is balanced, it will flow upwards. Then they can get into, very negative and dark tendencies also. Agar if fire is low and water is high, you can go into negative dark tendencies. uh, Even crime, all of that can happen, takes you downwards. It is not enlightening your buddhi at all. Fire move ही नहीं करती है यहाँ पर, सब नीचे जा रहा है. Then kapha, water and earth. So these people, you will see muscular structure. So vata people are the kind of people who will win in a sprint, but they will lose in a marathon. Kapha kind of people will lose in a sprint and they will win a marathon because structurally their stamina is very high, because the earth element is strong. A vata person, his earth element is limited, so energy spurts में आती है, strong आती है, but खत्म हो जाती है, fuse हो जाती है. Kapha will have that stamina, will that earth to carry on. And kapha exists in your chest region, so water and earth. That is why you see kapha people will often have this imbalance of asthma, some kind of chest based respiratory issues. That happens very often with kapha people. Water and earth, imagine water and earth coming together, those dampness, that dampness happens. Okay, very very broad, just giving you a sense of how elements create dosha, what is balanced, what is imbalanced, and that this is not poetry, as people say. Okay, some commentators will even talk like that. Come to yoga and we will take you, Sadhguru will take you through each element. Abhi wahi hua tha Shivratri mein, in the Grace of Yoga program, we went through a purification of all the five elements and then the Pancha Mahabhuta Kriya. Sorry, I forgot to mention. And water is responsible for taste, fire is responsible for illumination, vision, purification, breaking down substances. That is why people who have good fire, उनका intellect sharp होता है. They are able to dissect, analyze, because fire does that. No, just like it metabolizes and chops our food intake, it chops in the mind also. It slices, dices, creates clarity. Then air. Um, how do we experience air? Touch. It's the sensation of touch. That is air. Okay. Akash is experienced as sound. Vak, sound. That is why the sound of Om is created, is associated with Akash. How is earth? Uh, Earth. uh, I am jumping. I'm very, very sorry. Fire also expresses itself as form, roop. All roop and form comes from fire. That is why Osho's explanation that fire happens first is correct. Fire happens first, it is responsible for roop, and then the solidified earth is fire. It's correct, it makes sense, it's logical. Um, um, Earth, what is the subtle element associated with earth? It is gandh, smell. Earth is smell. That is why vasana. Vasana is what? Smell. So earth is smell, water is taste, fire is form, air is touch, Akash is sound. These are the subtle elements associated with the Panch Mahabhuta. So these so Panch Mahabhuta triggers subtle elements. All of these are in interaction, which creates what we call as mind. My mind is different from your mind because the percentage of elements, their interaction is different. Does that make sense? And this is the material energy of Krishna. Krishna says, इसके ऊपर जो चला जाता है वो मेरी transcendental energy है, उसे वो बोलते हैं para. This is prakriti, apara, and that is para. Wait, I'll go back. Am I making a mistake with the para? Okay. All right. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Each dosha governs specific physiological functions. I have told you. So Vata is responsible for movement, communication. It is so air dominated, it's like electrical energy that is carrying signals because it's all air and ether. All communication is happening like that, no, in space, in air. That is how it is. Pitta is digestion and transformation. You need that fire to transform food into energy, to transform information into knowledge. From Vedanta perspective, theory into experience, you need that fire, that understanding. Kapha is responsible for cohesiveness, structure, lubrication. Otherwise, you cannot hold anything together. That is why Vata people sometimes go into confusion. ये था कि वो था, जल्दी होता है उन्हें confusion. क्यों? Because cohesion नहीं है. Grounding is poor. So while they understand, the understanding is short-lived and then they can get confused if they are not balanced, if their Vata is not balanced. So the structure is what Kapha provides that. Okay. Uh, so fire, water, air, earth, each element gives us a unique experience. This is my material energy, Krishna says. Sankhya model, we have spoken of this just to go through it again. For me, this Purusha is, am I sharing? Yeah, can you see? Yeah. So this Purusha is Krishna consciousness for me. And Manas, this is all Prakriti. Nature, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, Buddhi, Ahamkar. Um, uh, Ahamkar is really very subtle animal instinct in some sense. Sadhguru ka wo video hai that we are all all these animal instincts come out in us. So Osho has also said, I shared on the group chat, ki, sometimes we want to sting somebody, and human beings can be very cunning because they want to see themselves as very nice. Actually, they are stinging, but they will cover it up in words. They will cover up things in certain way. That is why human being ka jo intellect hai can be very cunning. At least animals are straight, honest. Like that man who came and told that this Netaji, I will not even call him a donkey because that will be an insult to the donkey. At least he's straight. He's not using his intellect to cover and try to show how nice he is. He is what he is, and he has said. But human mind can become like that, very cunning, saying bad things but covering it in, silk and giving it as presenting it as something very beautiful. Um, मैं तो आपके चरणों की धूल हूँ. I am so egoless, but inside, oh my God, I think so highly of myself. Oh, I talk like this. But he says this is how it is. Now, अहंकार तो है, रहेगा. ओशो बोलते डोंट फाइट विद इट, कोई बात नहीं, बोलने दो इसको. अब जो अंडरस्टैंड दैट जो भी दृश्य है जो हमें दिखाई देता है वो मैटर है, पर जो देखता है, लाइक श्वेत केतु की स्टोरी में, डू यू नो द वन हु नोज? Come and keep establishing yourself into the one who knows and see the drishya. That is how you will weaken it. So it's all right. आपने कुछ अच्छा काम करा, आपने एक अच्छी पेंटिंग बनाई, आपने you worked on a project, you were successful in a project, obviously you will feel happy, isn't it? Osho says it's all right. It's okay. Feel happy about it. And if you see that, okay, I'm feeling happy about it. Don't get proud about it. But if it does happen to you, notice yourself that I'm getting proud about it. It's all right. That way, you will keep breaking that cohesion. Keep breaking that fire will keep weakening the water element. Otherwise, the water will start sloshing and take you downwards. So keep the fire of illumination and keep watching. Observation is fire, it is illumination. कोई बात नहीं, देखते रहो, ये matter है. That way you will keep distinguishing between the drishya and drishta, between what is matter and what is beyond matter. Beyond matter is um, para. Wait, let me go back into this. Uh, Manobuddha ahamka. Oh, Prakriti Ashtada. Okay, eight components he give. Para he will give into come into the next shloka. I will stop there and then. So he says, such is my inferior energy, but beyond it, O mighty armed Arjun, I have a superior energy. This is the Jiva Shakti, soul energy, which comprises the embodied souls who are the basis. We'll go into this next time, but this is where he says that this material energy is apara and para is the superior energy, which is the Krishna consciousness itself, which for us, for Yoga Sutra practitioners, Purusha and Prakriti. So he says, uh, uh, you work towards coming into my superior energy. Don't keep getting locked in matter. Agar tum matter mein hi, you keep wallowing in your dukh and keep just um, gluttony into stay in the gluttony of sukh, you will stay in the material energy only. You will not come into anand, into my परम शक्ति whatever para and apara बोलते हैं ओशो उसको, ठीक है. So we will come, let's pick this up next time. I don't want to overdo. I just this is the thing with the morning session. No, I will always have a tendency to spill, but I will try to stick with 80 minutes. Any questions, any thoughts, comments? But I prefer the morning. My brain works. Evening, I think I work. My brain fire kam ho jati hai. So brain needs that the ability to slice, dice, see better in the morning. All right. Anything that you have to share? No, we are good.
You'll stay up tonight, all night?
I'm staying all night. I am going. Shravanti is also going at the Florida Hindu temple. So, they have the cultural center there, and the cultural center is where the Isha event is happening. We are all staying overnight and just cross the boundary, and that it's like the temple's cultural center, and the temple is also open all night because they have Rudra Abhishek, which keeps going on. It's beautiful. Last time I went there, they had a Shivalinga made out of ice, which was melting. And through the night, it is a huge Shivalinga they make. And at 4:30 or 5 a.m., they have a Rudra Havan, which is held outdoors. It's stunning. It's like by the lake. And they have this Havan which happens. And it's just a very close bunch of people. Matlab bhai kuch 100-150 log hote hain, and just those people. And it's beautiful. I was there last time also, so I'm very excited. I will shunt between the two places. Of course, catch my midnight meditation with Sadhguru. But beautiful. The temple is amazing. They have chants going on, and I think periodically they keep doing this Rudra Abhishekam. 12 बजे होता है, फिर 3 बजे फिर से होता है, फिर 6 बजे फिर से होता है. So it's wonderful. Anybody else who's staying up night, all night?
I'm flying to Tennessee right now.
Oh, you are in Tennessee, so very
No,
good.
I'm leaving. I'm at the airport right now, so I'll be reaching at 1 o'clock.
Oh, you catch some sleep in the morning during the day, and you're
Very
flying?
nice.
Yes, I'm flying to Tennessee. It's from Austin. It's like 2 hours, Nashville. And yeah, I am so excited. I can't share my
Awesome.
excitement right now.
Yeah, so
Nice.
Shaila, Tejal,
Tejal,
and he are
yeah,
in Tennessee. Share pictures, yeah, share on the group chat. We should
we
bring in
will
that.
definitely. But I'm not sure if we are able to take pictures inside.
थोड़ा बहुत कहीं सब करते हैं यार, we all do it. Inside, like I तो sneaked Bhairavi Devi temple, maybe I sneaked. Nobody said anything,
Okay,
but we all do
good
it.
that you mentioned, then I can do that as
Yeah,
well.
some places you can, like outdoors, so it's totally, of course, you're
Yeah.
allowed, no problem.
I just wanted
So
to share my experience. I did my inner engineering course last weekend, and the experience was intense. It was so powerful. And I don't know, there's some surge of energy that has come in. I am not a 5 a.m., a club person, but for last 5, 6 days to do my mandala before kids, come back, because then my routine gets so busy. I've been waking up almost, I would say, 3:30, but then I think it's too early, and I keep checking the time until it's like 5:15. Then I wake up and I go do my yoga namaskar and my shambhavi, because I think initial practice takes about whole 1 hour. Starting from yoga
yeah,
namaskar, because then I do one guided practice and one practice on my own. And I was so apprehensive that how would I able to time and everything, but it's just falling so beautifully. I don't know what's happening. Like, it's hard to put into words what's going on, but I would just say everybody must do it. It is just amazing. I'm just six days baby, but yeah,
it
it's
is.
going beautifully.
So how it is happening is very nice. Like usme bhi I repeated my Shambhavi this time. Actually, I had started it a year and a half ago because as a volunteer, I was supposed to go through it and check the experience and all. वो टूटता गया. Then something happened and I was like, okay, I have to complete step 7. So I took the reinitiation and Sadhguru, like people ask him, no, like how will I do? So Sadhguru
Mm.
says, are you arguing for your capacity to not do
Mm.
it? You want to keep you arguing for your limitations, they are yours. Oh, but do you want to say yes? तुम हाँ तो
हाँ
बोलो.
तो
It's
बोलो.
like पीछे chapters में भी said no, रामकृष्ण बोलते तुम हाँ तो बोलो, अपनी
It
नाव
will
खोलो
happen.
तो सही, एंकर से छोड़ो तो सही. I'm telling you, once you say yes, you just say yes, I'm willing, I want to do it. It is amazing. And with Sadhguru, I know he offers his own energy. He will change your situations around you and make it work for you.
I
It's amazing.
I
He
couldn't
and
agree
he's
more with you.
Yes, he will
Seriously,
change
Swati, when
your
I was sitting
situations.
there, I'm thinking, okay, 4 hours empty stomach. I sleep by 9:30, and then my kids come at 3 o'clock, and I have no time because I'm Ubering around, taking them for baseball practice. This that. I'm like, but it is possible. I do my first practice 5 o'clock, and then I do my second practice at 11 o'clock, empty stomach, and the energy is just mind blowing. I mean, it's just hard to explain. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's just all happening and it's so beautiful. It's like a kid like excitement right now. Like, my kids are like, Mama, you're going to Isha. You look so excited. I'm like, yeah, I am excited. I can't tell you. And I decided to fast for Mahashivratri, and
Oh,
yeah.
total tapas mode. Huh?
Yeah.
So, just this morning or yesterday, I read a quote from Sadhguru. Sadhguru said, you just take care of this one thing, your
Yes.
mind. I want to do butt. He said, you take care of your butt and I will
Yeah.
manage your whole existence.
Everything.
You take care of this one butt that you have.
And
So,
it was so funny, they also showed us one video, and I couldn't like stop laughing. Like, when you are doing Sakhat Kriya and all those things, when your hand starts hurting, then I'm like halfway done. Now I'm like,
yeah.
another 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 couple of few minutes, and then yeah.
So once you get initiated into Shambhavi, it's a
Yeah.
40-day mandala. You have to do it two
Yes.
times a day for
Twice.
40 days. And then
Yes.
Sadhguru says every day for 6
Once a
months.
week. Yes.
So among the questions that was asked to him, and Sadhguru in those days, ये उनका पुराना video है, was even more intense.
Hmm.
Somebody asked him, so Sadhguru, what if I can't complete 40 days? Do I have to restart my mandala? He said, no, 80 days then.
Yes.
Just
Yeah. I heard that video.
80
Yeah.
days. And he's, with that straight face.
Yeah.
You he says you start with a no 80 day. You don't talk like this. That
Correct.
is his point really.
Yes.
And he has been so अब तो सदगुरु बहुत lenient हो गए बहुत सारी चीजों में. When I did Bhavaspandana program in Malaysia, he had given us a particular homework. 30 days वो homework करके आना है. Only then you show up for the program. And with homework mein you have to make notes, okay, like of certain experiences and all. I was I was volunteering that time for BSP, and there was this girl who came from Hong Kong to Singapore, and everybody was asked, did you complete your homework? And this girl said, no, I couldn't complete, or didn't complete it for as many hours. They didn't let her join this. They themselves feel so bad. that, why didn't you do? We told you so many times, you cannot come, you cannot go into this. They joined their hands. Then another girl who had like completed 50%, they said, we're giving you time, wake up early, complete the remaining homework. You will not be allowed. Sadhguru, because the kind of energy he's putting in, it's not for, it's like your prep, you toot jayegi tumhari energy, फिर it's not, it can hurt you because you've not done your preparation. So he is like, इज वेरी वेरी, अब तो बहुत सारी चीजों में सदगुरु हैज लाइक मेलोड, बहुत सारी चीजें वो खोल देते हैं, ओपन कर देते हैं. पहले तो गुरु पूजा वो खोलते ही नहीं थे, बोलते यू विल नॉट प्ले गुरु पूजा इन ओपन प्लेसेस where other people are listening to it if they have not been initiated. During COVID, he opened Guru Puja only to Shambhavi practitioners जिनके पास initiation थी. इतना उनकी sanctity और sacred वो था. Now he has opened it on Sadguru app. He also says you can chant along with it. I don't know if he has done some, वो अपना energy work करते रहते हैं. But now he opens it, and पर उस वक्त you were not allowed to say with it. You just simply listen and that's all. If you don't have initiation into it. So yeah. Okay. Anything else? Have a wonderful Mahashivratri. We'll take a closing
Thank
mantra.
you.
Yeah.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank you.
Mahashivratri. Bye bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.